And then Christian, I think you're kicking off with 3 objects and then leading us into the tech team, and I am enabling sharing. Okay. Take it away.
I'll start with my 3 things. So the first is this little COVID response patch. So we did a lot of stuff during COVID, and I just cleaned up my office. Like every 6 months, I do this like manic cleaning up, and I finally opened some mail. And apparently, NIOSH sent us little patches for thank you for the work that we did with the Morgantown National Personal Protective Technology Laboratory, which apparently was patches, which I'm glad I finally opened up the mail. I also had a piece of paperwork I was supposed to fill out like a year ago that was in that piece of mail, but nice little patch there. The second is one of my old coffee mugs, which is a beaker. It's from the Corning Museum of Glass that my brother got me years ago. So I come from a family of all like very highly educated people, but I'm the only person in my family from a science background. My brother's a historian, my mother's a teacher, my dad does higher education policy. And I don't really think my family knows what I do. So my brother will get me like random science things, nothing to do with what I actually do. So I'm pretty sure he thinks I'm a chemist because we'll keep getting like random chemistry things. So the epitome of which is my little Corning glass beaker, which is a great coffee mug, but I stopped using it because I dropped it at one point. There's a chip in it. So I'm afraid of it like breaking while I drink out of it, but I haven't had a part to get rid of it yet. And then the last thing is the thing I think I use most in my office, probably like the #1 use thing in my office. It's this little like doodle board, like hard to see, but like just like a little digital sketch thing that we were given as a thank you gift from one of our vendors years ago. It's like a whiteboard-esque thing or like a digital Etch-a-Sketch. I use that thing all the time, unbelievable amount of times I use it. And at some point, the battery's going to die in it and it's non-replaceable. And I'm going to be really sad because I have no idea where they bought it, but the name doesn't show up anywhere when I search for it. But it's going on like 7 years of running strong, so fingers crossed it keeps going. So those are my 3 things. All right. See, let me pull up my slides here. And I saw somebody said they had gone to the Corning Museum. Yeah, it's actually super impressive. My brother used to live very close to there. Okay. Can you see that? I know we're not in presentation mode, but there's a bunch of other random stuff on my computer. So I'm just going to do a quick kind of update across a bunch of the technology stuff that we've been working on to try and get people caught up. We've been doing some tech-focused team meetings, but there are some pieces that I think they haven't been conveyed to the full team. So take the opportunity to catch people up, maybe talk about a couple topics. Feel free to jump in at any time with questions or comments. And there's a couple of points in here that I have specific spots that I'm hoping to get feedback from people as well. Just as a quick reminder, we've been working kind of in 3 big broad areas, which I'll keep referring to kind of as the central node, like this is the user interface, the touchscreen piece, the sensor elements outside, and our intervention pieces. Starting with the interface, we've been working a lot over the last month or 6 weeks to integrate some of the upgrades and changes that have been requested. A huge thank you to Pi and Erica, who have been taking some of the load off of me to do the make it look nice and integrate these upgrades that really need to be done that I just simply have not been able to get to. So thank you very, very much to both of them who have been doing great work there, where I have instead been focusing on the functionality and making the data logging more robust and assembling a bunch of these to get into people's hands. So we actually have a pile of these sitting in the lab now that we're going to start distributing out for the next round of people to play with, touch, provide comments on, all of that. We talked about this in the tech meeting, but just a kind of an update for the team in general, or for people working in the space. CSU is starting to get super picky about purchasing anything that involves a screen. And we have to justify screens, and are the screens accessible? And do they meet the communications accessibility rules? It turns out when you buy individual components, rarely are those at that stage tested for accessibility. So I think we've gotten through those hurdles. I now have boilerplate text if anyone else hits that, but it took like a month to get through purchasing for this last round to buy these screens. Just a quick heads up there. One thing I want to talk about with the team here is we need to decide, or we've talked about if participants should have the ability to turn on the fan or the pressurization system outside of the automated events. At the tech team meetings, we've leaned towards, yes, giving them this ability. So we want to turn on the fan to clean the air inside my home. We're leaning towards giving people that ability. I just wanted to kind of circle the wagons and make sure everybody's okay with that plan, that people can turn on and off their fans themselves. This would be through the dashboard, so we would capture these events. But before I roll out the code, just one final check with people that everybody's okay with that concept. I'm going to take silence as complicit, okay, but if you have concerns about that, please let me know, because this cascades down into some of the other things that I and I are working on in terms of where buttons are going to go and all that.
Hey, Christian.
Yeah.
I don't have any objections to it, and I think it'll be interesting information. We had also wondered if we should respond to indoor events, and the occupant may respond to indoor events using the manual option, I guess. So did we decide not to respond to indoor events? I'm not clear on that.
Sure, yeah, we have, so right now we are not doing anything from the automated sense on indoor events. Now, I'm certainly open for us to discuss doing that. From our code standpoint, it's easy for us to add that. The reason we haven't implemented indoor events triggering the controls is that the pressurization system doesn't really work well for that. The portable air cleaner does that well. Pressurizing the home does not, and we didn't get a good way to resolve that discrepancy in our brains. So I punted on that by doing nothing on it so far, and kind of hedged the bet by letting people do it, but not automating it.
Yeah, I think I feel like that's the right call. I think we would be trying to do too much if we did otherwise.
What I think we could do, we can always post hoc look for these events as well, but it'd be easy for us to have our algorithm run and just capture them. Then as the team is quickly downloading the data, we'd be able to see them quickly. Then from an analysis standpoint, it'd be a fast one, but I think for now we'll maybe hold off on it. The second one that's kind of related to this is we have two kind of sleep modes that we need to come to a decision about at some point. We've said that we're going to let people put their system kind of like to snooze, like I don't want it to run right now, but I'm not fully opting out. And we've never put a time to that about how long. So in this first scenario, they'd be turning it off. And after some period of time, it would automatically go back to the default mode, either prompting them to turn the system on or autonomously running. But we've never set a time to that. Right now I have it for 60 minutes because that seemed like a nice round number, but we've never actually put a time to it. The second one is we do have a button in there that just shuts it down. That says like, I am done. Never turn this thing on again. It's pretty hidden, like not completely hidden, but it's not going to be easily triggered without somebody really wanting to trigger it. But any thoughts about what an appropriate sleep time might be?
Would be for something like this. Okay, dumb question. Is there kind of like a standard expectation on? I mean, I know snooze for an alarm is it's going to be like mine's 8 minutes. You know, if I'm wondering if when we say snooze, that typically means it's going to unsnooze. Maybe, in which
Yeah.
case you might argue that having it goes back on in 60 minutes would be something they would expect to happen. And we could certainly tell them that. That would keep it from them saying, I don't want to ever touch it, or snoozing it and forgetting to unsnooze it, and then stuff happening that we would like to have the system on for. I think there is an expectation with that word that would allow it to come back on, is what I'm saying in a long way.
Yes, so the snooze that I'm talking about is they would snooze it and it would, after whatever period of time, go back to its default state. But what you're
That's
describing there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is that we could have it be, and I'm thinking, if you snooze something like a home system, would it be typical that such a system? I live in a very mechanical, or not mechanical. My house is not smart, so I'm wondering if people who live in smart houses have an expectation about what snooze would be, how long.
Yeah, I don't have a good feel for that. I guess a place that we might be able to look for some of those is I don't know what the time frame is for like the Nest thermostat has some time period when it goes into eco mode. They probably have some logic about what that time period is. I don't know what that off the top of my head is. Typical events we were seeing were often in the kind of 20 minutes to an hour. So it seems like we probably don't want to go much shorter than an event, I would guess. But that's just a gut feel thing for me.
I don't know that enough people have Nest to make that the standard. Right, and I think a lot of people, even if you don't have a smart house, have semi-smart things around them. But the only thing that I feel is really standard is that straight 8 to 10 minutes for an alarm, and I think that's too short. So I think it's fine for you to just decide what to do and tell them what it is.
Okay, well, we'll go with the hour for now, but as people within this group have it maybe sitting on their desk, we can give that it's an easy one to change. So just a parameter we can adjust if we need to. We have a draft installation guide for this. There's a link there, and the tech team has seen a version of it as well. It's 100% open for comments and suggestions for revising that. This is a installation guide geared towards our team. This is not like a user manual. This is Sapphire's team, things to think about, steps to put it in place. One thing that's still a little bit up for discussion though is where is our ideal place from the study standpoint about where to put this interface. I think we want it somewhere that people are going to see it, but somewhere that it's not so in the way that they get frustrated and unplug it. So this is one I think we just need to be thinking about over the next little bit. Seems like living rooms or kitchens or something like that is probably an ideal place for it, because we're not triggered on inside events, because we've kind of put that one to bed now. I think it's a little less sensitive to the where do we put the indoor interface from an air pollution monitoring standpoint. You know, we don't have to worry about, is it in the kitchen and we're capturing cooking events from the triggering standpoint. So I think we should put it wherever we think is going to be the spot that we get the best interaction with it. But a few considerations for the team is we need 120 volt outlets, just standard wall outlet. We are providing the wall adapter for it. It's a small one, so it's only going to take up one plug. It won't cover the other ones, but it is a quasi high amperage one. This is similar to what you get with almost all cell phones at this point. You may have had a phone, for example, where you've plugged in with a cheaper one and it warns you like you're not charging at optimum power. So all that's to mean is we'll want to tell them to use the one we provided for them. We may want to go as far as to just glue that plug in so they can't unplug the USB from the USB power adapter that we're providing for them, because it's not going to work correctly if they don't use the wall plug that we provide them. Right now, we have about 24 inches of cable length, but it is easy for me to get longer ones if need be. That just seemed like a reasonable, not overly cluttered length, but those cables are cheap. So that's, again, as we think about where to put this, something for us to be considering. Yeah, we don't need to make a decision right now, but as people are walking around their houses over the coming weeks, think about maybe where you would want it. And from there, we can come up with what cable lengths before I start buying the final cables for all the deployments. Any questions there or concerns people want to talk about?
Christian?
Yeah.
I can raise my hand if you want, but sometimes I can't
Yeah.
see hands when I'm presenting, so I'm just gonna butt in.
It's a small enough group, I can see everybody on the screen, so.
Okay, yeah. So it feels like people are gonna be different. Right, like
Mhm.
mine, when I had one in my house, it was on the kitchen counter and that was the place I was most likely to see it. Because I enter the kitchen every day and I kind of look around. I'm guessing that there are other people who might prefer it somewhere else. I don't really know though, and I feel like I'm making up stuff about people that I don't know, which is always a risky thing to do. So, like I don't watch television really at all. And so putting it near my TV is a recipe for being ignored, but I don't think I'm average in that way.
Yeah, I think it's fine for it to be in different locations in the home. I think we should just come up with some suggestions about the type of place we want it to be, as in a high traffic location, but far from water, that sort of thing. I think it's more about the characteristics than the definition of the room. Because I agree, it's going to be very different. If it's in the TV room for us, it's never going to be seen because we don't have a TV room, right? So that would be like a deal breaker. Outdoor nodes. So we have new ones. We've revamped this based on the kind of overheating and undersampling concerns that came up. So they now have fans in them and the ambient temperatures are doing way better. There's now a slight hum to it, but it's quite quiet. But we'll start distributing some more of these out. I think there's one in Tammy's home. I don't know if you've noticed the noise, Tammy, or not, but as we give them out, if anyone notices it as it being a problematic noise, let me know. I barely hear it at all, but it's for the first time something for us to consider. It's similar to the indoor nodes when you think about where to put them. They need power. There's also going to be some inherent, I think, sampling bias based on where we put them, right? It's anywhere kind of spatially outside we choose is going to be a little bit different based on kind of wind direction and outdoor sources and all that. I don't think we're going to get around that. Just something for us to be keeping in mind, though. These are 5-foot cables because we can go with much lower wattage power sources for these outdoor nodes. So we can go a little bit farther with the cabling. But still need to be thinking about where to put them. One for us to consider is I put a lot of safety features into all of these circuit boards, but the outdoor nodes do not have a GFCI component on them. The reason for that is it's code in Fort Collins that outdoor outlets have those GFCIs on them, and having multiple GFCIs in series can cause them to trip if you like to stack them up. But this is something we should think about, and what is kind of our comfort level there? Do people feel comfortable with what I mean by the GFCI? Those are the kind of safety features that cause an outlet to trip if there's water near them. It's like the hair dryer or the outlets near sinks. There's still an opportunity for me to add that to the outdoor nodes. Right now they're not in place because I'm worried about the stacking of GFCIs causing inadvertent trips, but just a safety consideration for us to keep in mind. Okay, next one is somebody on my team looked at the new outdoor nodes and said that they thought they looked like frogs, and now I can't get that image out of my head. And because I can't get that image out of my head, all of you can now be stuck with the idea that they look like frogs, because that's all I can see when I see the outdoor nodes now. So if I have to see outdoor frogs, you all have to see outdoor frogs for the rest of the study as well. I just can't, no matter what I do, that's all I can see for the sampler now. Indoor ones. For the indoor portable air cleaners, we've moved to a slightly different fan or portable air cleaners model than what we were using for the first deployment. This was based on some recommendations from Paul. So we're using the Medify brand. We've tested the design for kind of 2 sizes, ones that are based on the manufacturer's recommendations, designed for roughly 1,800 and 2,600 square feet. There is one size smaller, but didn't really seem worthwhile. Going one size larger becomes problematic. So if we want to, from a wiring standpoint, so these do seem like the 2 sizes I would like to try and stay with if we're going to stick with this brand, just from my sanity and being able to keep kind of the same design for things, if at all possible. We finished the performance testing, so we've done our due diligence that they actually work. So if anybody's curious, I'm happy to share the fan performance, portable air cleaner performance for them, as well as identifying ways that we can incorporate our systems into it. One thing to be aware, though, they're a lot more difficult to incorporate the automation system into than the old design. We can do it, it just takes a little bit more effort. What this means is when we are leaving the homes, we are not going to be able to pull out the automation that same day. With the original design and what I had told the team early on previous ones, is as we were exiting the home, we could quickly pull the automated system, leave the portable air cleaner behind, and walk out the door. We can't do that in a single step. So I think it's going to be more about swapping fans. We will take away their portable air cleaner, give them a new one. I'll bring that portable air cleaner back to the lab, remove the automation controls that we have put in place, and then we can give that one out to somebody else. Does that make sense? It's just an extra step we need to do. I don't mind doing that, but just an extra step. The nice piece is they're much quieter actually than the first portable air cleaners that we were testing, so that is one upside. The only other one to be aware of with this is we have not been able to get the ability to do multiple speeds on them, so they're going to be running at a single speed. So just be kind of what we're dealing with. The last one I have for today before we just kind of open it up for discussion is the pressurization nodes are in good places as well. We finished kind of a safety audit of the electrical design there with an electrical engineer. So got some really good suggestions. I'm finishing, or I have finished up the rework of those circuits, and I'm just getting those assembled now. And the window insert units, there's an example of one of those in the House of Pressure down in Paul's lab. I haven't fully installed it, but if you want to go see what the window unit concepts look like, some of those sheet metal parts are in the House of Pressure in the Aries. Okay, those are the main things I want to talk about. Just leave it on the frog. And open it up, see if there's any questions or concerns or tech related topics that people wanted to make sure we're on my radar.
Christian, I'm gonna get one of these just for the frog.
Glad to hear it. See, they're shockingly close. Forget comments. Let's see. It's simple. Do you have others that are ready to test in the homes? What was I missed when you put that question in, Will?
Oh, I was asking, I thought you asked maybe a few meetings ago, you said you would have things, updated things to be like for field testing in homes. So I was asking if you have stuff that's ready because I can set something up here at my house.
Yeah, I got some of the outdoor ones. I just need to finish putting the software on, but yeah, I can give it one to you Monday if you're
Yep,
around.
I'll be at the car house on Monday.
Great. Looks like the swap out, it's okay with people. Okay, Pies need to drop off. Okay. Yeah, I got a good number of the outdoor units. So yeah, both Will and Danny. I was just slow in getting you the units that are assembled over to you, but thank you both for your offer there. The fans or the portable air cleaners, we just need to put the housings back on them so you don't see the wiring, although it's safe, it just doesn't look super pretty. And touch screens, the new dashboards are ready to go. I just want to follow up with Pi to see if there's any of his updates that he wants to roll out during the same round of testing. Otherwise, we'll put those touch screens out and we can incorporate his changes whenever they're ready. All right, that's all I had.
Like good progress, Christian.
I'm super excited to get these portable air cleaners out so that I can gain one corner of our map back. But yeah, the Metafies are actually working super well. I think people are going to be quite happy with them. And I think they're going to actually I think they're gonna be a very nice end of study, thank you, for folks, they're quite nice.
And Christian, if you're squeezed on lab space, you're totally welcome. I think, well, I'm offering the lab that's mostly Paul's, but they could go in the Airy lab.
Yeah, Paul made the same offer, it's more that we're just building them kind of in an assembly line, so as soon as the assembly line is done, I'll move them down there. But yeah, thank you for that offer. Anything else you want to talk about today, Tammy, before?
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but I'm not ready for it. There- I would like during one of our upcoming tech team meetings, but I don't think we need to involve the whole group. You had mentioned a couple of papers that you were
Okay.
working on. And I think it would be good to wrap those around the tech team. I don't know how much will be involved. T-shirts, Allison. Ah. Okay,
Beware of the frog.
I think we're gonna change the Sapphires logo to have a frog in it. Kristen, you started a trend. Okay, so that's the only thing that's on my mind so far. And Kristen's been really moving forward on the participant booklet, so that's another thing that can be shared, I think, but we can do it offline. Cause I didn't put her on tap for today too. Oh, and Christian, you need to pick somebody for the next 3 objects.
Oh, yeah, I don't know who hasn't gone, I feel like. Has everybody on the call actually done it?
Marilee has not.
Marilee,
Or Tammy.
Okay.
Tammy's leaving.
you're on tap next week if you're available.
Okay, awesome. See you next week. Have a great weekend, people.